You are watching QTV broadcasting from the Gambia, and this is the news with me, Jennifer Sonko. Coming up in our headlines. 4 new ambassadors present their letters of credence to President Adama Barrow at State House. Seminar on climate change, renewable energy and land use opens at Ocean Bay Hotel. 4 suspects are in custody for allegedly in possession of cannabis. And newly elected president of the American International University West Africa Students Union, Jarga E. Gay, reveals plans. Those are our top stories, and now the news in detail. Stay with us. Ambassadors and high commissioners from Sierra Leone, the People's Republic of China, Cuba and India respectively on Tuesday presented their letters of credence to the President of the Gambia, His Excellency Adama Barrow, at the State House in Banjul. Her Excellency Mrs. Croatia Marianne Sharif from Sierra Leone, His Excellency Ma Jianchung from the People's Republic of China, His Excellency Mr. Ruben Garcia from Cuba, and His Excellency Mr. Rajiv Kumar from India all underscored the significance of sharing diplomatic relations with the Gambia in both bilateral and multilateral ties. Saja Brito was at the State House and spoke to some of the diplomats shortly after their meeting with President Adama Barrow.
Your Excellency, how significant is it for your country to share diplomatic relations with the Gambia?
Well, the Gambia has been a sister country since the dawn of history, I can say. And to share diplomatic relations with the Gambia is the most excellent thing. And I pray and hope that this relationship will continue over the years. And my being here is going to strengthen that relationship more.
Your Excellency, you're welcome to the Gambia. China's relations with the African continent has always been under criticism by the international community. How do you respond to those criticisms?
So, you know, China, our Chinese government and Chinese people cherish the friendship with the African people. So, and we already have a very, we already established a very good relationship and friendship. China and the African people, the cooperation is going deep and deep. So we witnessed many great in progress in African continent. So last month, the FOCAC Beijing Summit was successfully held in Beijing. So, you know, during this summit, the Chinese government, Chinese president, and the African leaders draw the new blueprint for the next development together. So you can see the project already built up, and you can see the African people very satisfied to our cooperation. So we are going to seize this opportunity of implementing these outcomes of the FOCAC Beijing Summit. We will try to make the great development again. Thank you very much.
What areas of development is your administration particular about as far as the Gambia is concerned?
So in the FOCAC of the Beijing Summit, so, you know, our president announced the 8 big initiatives. So include industrialization, agriculture cooperation, and also the infrastructure construction and green development together as well.
The Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, in collaboration with the University of the Gambia, with funding from the German Ministry of Higher Education and Research, on Tuesday opened a 2-day seminar on climate change, renewable energy and land use at Ocean Bay Hotel in Bakau. Omar P. Jallo attended the opening, and he now tells us more.
The 2-day seminar is envisaged to strengthen the cooperation between the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology of the Gambia and German in the field of energy. As climate change and renewable energy continue to be a daunting challenge for developing countries like the Gambia, the government of the Gambia, through the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology and the University of the Gambia, partnered with the German Ministry of Higher Education and Research to identify the challenges and opportunities in the renewable energy with local stakeholders from science, industry, civil society and the relevant policy areas and ministries and the departments of the Gambia government. Deputizing for the President, the Vice President and the Minister of Women's Affairs, Ousainou Darboe, reassured government's commitment and support to the partner ministries in expanding renewable energy in the Gambia. He said this will open up new opportunities for Gambian citizens and for the industrial development of the country, which he said is a core ambition of the government of the Gambia.
In line with our development policies, the Barrow administration is ready and willing to support all efforts geared toward reducing the impact of climate change. From this viewpoint, this seminar serves as an important step towards implementing the Gambia's commitment on the 21st Conference of Parties of the United Nations Conference of Climate Change held in Paris, France in 2015. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, tackling climate change is a task for every Gambian, and this seminar provides a big opportunity for all of us to act. We cannot afford to be left behind. It harnesses the various benefits that accrue from the renewable energy industry, which doubled globally in 2016. Reflecting on this, it is happening that communities and businesses in the Gambia have started taking action to reduce the impact of climate change. They know that taking action is not only the right thing to do, but it is also good for their business.
In his opening statement, the Minister of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Badara Diouf, said his ministry will synchronize climate change, renewable energy and land use in the research and science fields of the University of the Gambia.
I'm happy to note that we are having this seminar, but the success of this seminar is not the virtuous statements that will be made here today. It is not the promises that we will be making here today. It is not those kinds of conclusions and recommendations that we'll be making here today and tomorrow, but those things that we keep hereafter, those things that we implement hereafter, the products, the deliverables that are feasible, implementable, that make an impact and make a difference on the lives of the people. That is where we can judge the success of this seminar, and not just statements upon statements. We have to go beyond ideation and have a renewal of connection and have an applied aspect of this for development effectiveness, for development impact. Water is a source of life. Without climate, without the environment, there will be no living. You know, Rousseau said, I think therefore I am. But I think also, without the environment, we cannot say I am. The environment contributes to what we are. It shapes our value systems. It shapes our socio-ecology. That is important. So this seminar is very important to all of us today. You know, science is important, and we need science to be able to anticipate, you know, the way the environment will be evolving, the way the climate will be evolving, and by extension, the way Homo sapiens will evolve in the context of this, climate ecology and environmental ecology. That is important for us.
Representing the German Ministry of Higher Education and Research, Dr. Christopher Rover-Kamp said the world is in a transition from fossil fuel to renewable energy as a source of electricity. He, however, cited the unlimited financing opportunities for renewable energy in developing countries, including the Gambia.
We only make progress on sustainable development at the global level if we take the right approach to renewable energy in Africa from the very beginning. We need sustainable energy systems. This is a huge challenge, but also an immense opportunity. In Africa alone, 600 million people have no access to electricity. Energy means life. Energy means future. Energy means economic growth. Energy means jobs. And we need jobs more than ever before. Without energy, there is no future in a globalized world.
Other speakers include the Minister of Agriculture, Lamin Ndiba, and the representative of the West African Science Service Center on Climate Change and Adapted Land Use. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
The National Assembly is the legislative arm of the government. It is usually a strong institution which does not only make laws, debate on issues of national importance, but make sure the government is accountable to the people. For one to become a lawmaker in the Gambia, you don't need to be highly educated as a requirement. Mamadou Gajaga reports from Farafenye in the North Bank region.
Under the current constitution, all you need as a criteria to contest for National Assembly seat is being a citizen, at least half 21 years, just to name a few. However, academically though, not much is being asked for. Just the ability of speaking English with some degree of proficiency, sufficient to enable you to take part in National Assembly proceedings. No mention of any secondary school or tertiary education as qualification. So this provision change for higher educational qualification for National Assembly members in the new constitution. Jewru Krubali describes the current constitution as the will of the former regime because it came under duress after the military takeover of government in 1994.
I think it is overdue because the 1997 constitution came about under duress. It was just after a military coup and people were panicked. So and there was this time frame because the donor countries were in a haste. They wanted the military to leave and go back to barracks. The military, on the other hand, was using its threats. So the constitution, 1997 constitution came under duress. So to review it today is overdue.
Fode Camara said, an epic office such as the National Assembly should constitute of people who are highly qualified.
National Assembly, I can say, is the brain of the nation, is the nucleus of the nation. So when we are to talk of certain area, I don't think we need people that are illiterate to go to that place. At least a minimum qualification of either tertiary education is needed or at least a degree in any of the professional courses in order to be there.
Mamadou Gajaga, QTV News, Farafenye.
4 suspects are in custody for allegedly in possession of cannabis. The suspects were arrested by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency at various locations within the country.
In their efforts to tackle the use and trafficking of illicit drugs, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency have arrested 4 suspects and are currently in custody while the investigations are ongoing. Mohamed Wage, a 60-year-old man, alias Saibe, was arrested with his driver Dauda Fati with 42 bundles of suspected cannabis weighing 37 kilograms. The suspects were traveling in a yellow Ford Transit van towards Basse. As the PRO explains, Mohamed Wage is not new to them and was under surveillance for some time.
The case that we have here, it's a very interesting case that involves Dauda Fati, who is a driver to a van, and Mohamed Wage, alias Saibwe, or some say Saibe Wage, who is a notorious dealer and a commonly known drug dealer who has been under our radar for a very long time. And it's also important to note that this is not the first time that he has been arrested. According to information, he's even once been arrested with even the son, and has also been arrested in other situations with over 100 kilograms of cannabis sativa. So he's presently in custody. The information that we have is that he had a van to escort him to Basse with his illicit substances, but was arrested at the Pakaliba checkpoint by the police officers who are stationed there. Also looking at this case, the sad part of it is that this is somebody who is over almost 60 years or above. So as such, we expect such people to serve as role models in our society, to be able to mold and shape the future generation.
The second suspect, Alpha Cisse, is a Senegalese national and a resident of Njamakuta. He was intercepted at Yeli Tenda on his way to Dakar. He is alleged to have concealed 2 kilograms of suspected cannabis in his traveling bag, covering it with his clothes. Suspect number 3 is a native of Tanje and was arrested at Dimbaya in a taxi.
The other case involved someone by the name of Essa Jammeh, commonly known as Kolea Jammeh, who was arrested at Dimbaya within the West Coast region. He equally as well hired a commercial vehicle, a taxi to be specific, to go to the customers and receive his stuffs. So on his way coming, he was arrested by officers and our operative station there together with some personnel of the police intervention unit. He is presently in custody together with the driver while investigation will continue. He was arrested with about 13 kilograms of suspected cannabis sativa, which was hidden in the car. Important to note, very important to note, is that he is someone who has just recently been pardoned. And the other case that he had, I could remember very well because I featured him on TV, was the case where he had his bunker in his house, inside his bedroom, and then he dug a hole there. That was his bunker, the carpet is on it, and then his mattress that he lies on or that he sleeps on, is on top of that. It requires a lot of surveillance and information because before he was finally nabbed.
The PRO and Commissioner Maulud Fall of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency commended all the security forces for the good work and gallantry in apprehending the suspects. They urge the general public to be vigilant and report any suspected case to the authorities. They also advise vehicle owners to carefully vet drivers before hiring them. For QTV News, I am Babukar Sise.
The International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance, in collaboration with the National Assembly, the Ministry of Women's Affairs and the Ministry of Justice, amongst other partners, Tuesday commenced a two-day consensus-building platform on women's participation and representation to institutional reforms in the Gambia. The training brings together 65 participants comprising women MPs, TRRC and CRC representatives from the security service and political parties. The platform is expected to bring about an exchange of ideas and knowledge sharing about the situation of women and the context in the Gambia, as well as the gender objective of the new National Development Plan 2018-2021. Participants are expected to use this forum to have a plan for gender mainstreaming in institutional transitions and reforms in the Gambia. Speaking at the opening ceremony, Hadidande, president of Female Lawyers Association, said there is a new national development plan which prioritizes women empowerment. For her, women are underrepresented in the Gambia, which calls for concern.
As we have seen, this has been a trend that us women have been fighting for long. Whether it was in the first government, the second, or the third. We're fighting for it. It hasn't improved. We have a long way to go. In the Gambia, it remains a lot to improve women in participation, in representation, and in institutional reforms. Presently, we only have 5 members who are National Assembly members. And out of that 5, we know that 3 were nominated. I am glad the National Assembly members are agreeing with me. And these are important positions. These are positions where decisions are actually taken. So as women, we know where it hurts most. So we need to try to get onto Parliament, the National Assembly, so we can participate in the decision making itself, so that we can talk about the issues that affect us and how to solve them.
Mr. Hussein Tomasi, advisor to the Minister of Justice and Attorney General, said the training is timely and appropriate as the CRC and the TRRC processes are underway. Tomasi explains that the Ministry of Justice, as the focal point for implementing the government's transitional justice agenda, recognizes the need for gender mainstreaming in all commissions and processes.
The Constitution provides that all persons shall be equal before the law. Under Section 28, dealing with the rights of women, it is stated that women shall be accorded full and equal dignity of the person with men. It further states that women shall have the right of equal treatment with men, including equal opportunities in political, economic, and social activities. Concerning the appointment of commissioners for the Truth, Reconciliation, and Reparations Commission, Section 4 of the Act is to the effect that the President shall, in appointing the members of the Commission, have regard to the geographical, professional, religious, cultural, and gender sensitivity of the Gambia. You will also find a similar provision under the Constitutional Review Commission Act. I believe that this is the first time in the Gambia that we have provisions of such nature in our legislation.
Her Excellency Honorable Mariam Jack Denton, Speaker of the National Assembly, said the training is an indication that the Executive and the National Assembly is committed in supporting women's participation in the country's governance process.
It is an undisputed fact that girls and women have a right to engage in civil society, vote and be voted for in decision-making positions, and make their voices heard in any process that will ultimately affect them, their families, and their communities. By investing in their right to participation and representation, the Gambia will not only move closer to achieving gender equality, but also be able to achieve Sustainable Development Goal number 16, which advocates for peace, justice, and strong institutions.
Mrs. Rombit Zai expressed delight for being given the opportunity to participate in the Gambia's democratic process. She also assured IDEA's continued support to the Gambia. Action Aid International, a non-governmental organization that seeks to promote children's rights and welfare, today conducted a sensitization meeting to engage civil society organizations and government institutions on children's rights and advocacy issues at the Gambia Tourism and Hospitality Institute in Kanifing. Rohijata reports.
The sensitization meeting is part of strategies to promote children's rights in Central, Lower and Upper River regions through a project funded by European Union called Empowering Child-Focused Organizations, which started in January 2016 and ends in December 2018. Bridget Tabu Korea, the coordinator of the project, says the 3 chosen regions are chosen based on the fact that a UNICEF survey in 2010 indicated that the regions have a higher prevalence of child marriage, female genital mutilation, and low educational attainment below the national average.
This project is to empower the children as well as the communities themselves. Yes, but we are making a headway. Now we have involved CCPCs, that is the Community Child Protection Committees, the Mothers Clubs, the Women Pressure Groups, the Regional TAG. We are discussing and dialoguing with them, and we have started getting a kind of recognition, and people have started accepting it. Though the work is not easy, but all development workers have to put their hands on deck, and we join it and make it a collaborative effort to make sure that that big demon called child's right violation is defeated.
The program specialist Education and Youth, Action Aid the Gambia, Bakari Fadera, says training of civil society organizations is crucial in the attainment of goals that support and empower children. He says, despite the fact that there are declarations that support children, but the implementation still remains a problem. He affirms his organization's commitment in ensuring that the rights of children are safeguarded, respected, and fulfilled.
Children have rights just like any one of us, but due to the nature of their vulnerability because of their age, they need special protection from adults like their parents, teachers, community leaders, CSO, and including security forces. Therefore, your role in the promotion, protection, and fulfillment of children's rights cannot be overemphasized. As CSOs and government staff, including the security forces, it is extremely critical that you know all the rights that concern children. If children are assured of an environment that is free of all forms of violence and abuse, then our future as a nation will be guaranteed.
Ali Umar, Child Protection and Advocacy Specialist, Child Fund the Gambia, says Children are an important fragment in the development of every state. He says the rights of children need to be safeguarded and protected, noting that they set the pace in the national agenda.
Of course, their understanding about child protection will help a great deal in coming up with the relevant laws that will enhance the protection environment of children. And again, looking at the level of the communities, at the level of the kindergarten, of course, there are a lot of protective structures. And at our community level, we have, for example, Child Fund, we have community child protection committees, we have mothers clubs, we have girls platforms, and we have also youth clubs. We even have child-led child protection committees. So all these committees, you find them at the communities. Maybe in one particular community, you may be lucky to have all these committees in place. So we believe that with the existence of these communities and with continuous strengthening in terms of training and sensitization, we are sure that we'll be able to actually strengthen the capacities of these communities to effectively deal with child protection issues that they are faced with on a daily basis.
For QTV News, I am Rohi Jata.
Before we end this news bulletin, we recap our main headlines. Ambassadors and High Commissioners from Sierra Leone, the People's Republic of China, Cuba and India respectively on Tuesday presented their letters of credence to the President of the Gambia, His Excellency Adama Barrow, at the State House in Banjul. Her Excellency Mrs. Lucretia Marianne Sharif from Sierra Leone, His Excellency Ma Jianchum from the People's Republic of China, His Excellency Mr. Ruben Garcia from Cuba, and His Excellency Mr. Rajiv Kumar from India all underscored the significance of sharing diplomatic relations with the Gambia in both bilateral and multilateral ties. The Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, in collaboration with the University of the Gambia with funding from German Ministry of Higher Education and Research on Tuesday, opened a two-day seminar on climate change, renewable energy and land use. 4 suspects are in custody for allegedly in possession of cannabis. The suspects were arrested by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency at various locations within the country. And newly elected president of the American International University West Africa Students Union, Jarga Igay, reveals plans, among which is to unify all students for a common purpose. That is all we have for you in this edition of QTV News. Do join us tomorrow, same time for more news. Do stay tuned for more interesting programs. Thanks for watching.